Hi, I'm Angela. Ever since I can remember, I always had troubles with my family. My parents adored my younger brother Simon and gave him cool gifts even when there was no occasion. Meanwhile, I only got useless garbage, even for holidays. But on my last birthday, a miracle happened. My parents actually bothered to prepare a party and promised me a cool surprise. I put on my best dress and went down to the living room to be congratulated. When my parents handed me a pink box, I screamed with joy. For the whole month, I had been trying to get them to buy me fabric with unicorns so I could finally sew myself a hoodie. And so, I had finally been heard. However, what I took out of the box was not a cloth, but a set of colored pencils. That was the last straw. I threw the pencils away and I slammed my fists on the table. I am sick of this! Why do you hate me so much? You spend all of your money on Simon and you always get me something dumb as a gift. Calm down. The guests are coming. What will they think of you acting like this? There it is again. You worry about everyone but me. I don't want to see you anymore. I ran to my room and slammed the door shut loudly. I was crying so hard I could barely breathe. To drown out my sobs, my parents turned on music. Everyone was having fun at my party without me. But soon, my brother remembered I existed. He handed me his console. Happy birthday, Angie. This is for you from me. Don't cry. Simon had got that console from our parents for his last birthday. I mentally compared it to my box of pencils, and I burst into tears again. Why did he get everything, and I got nothing? I was tormented by that question all night. And in the morning, I decided I would have a serious talk with my parents. When I knocked on their bedroom door, I heard my mother crying. She was sitting on the bed and clutching a notebook sheet in her hands, and it was wet with tears. I recognized my dad's handwriting. Mom, what's happened? Where's Dad? I definitely didn't expect her reaction. Mom jumped to her feet, wiped her tears, and grumbled, "He left because of you. He got tired of living with such an ungrateful drama queen." I was shocked, but I didn't feel guilty. Dad could not have left us because of one little scandal. Mom was obviously hiding something. I tried to find out what was in the note, but she withdrew into herself. She cried for days and didn't notice either me or Simon. Soon, we ran out of food, and I asked my mom for some money. "We don't have any. I haven't found a job yet. You should find one for yourself. The internet is full of vacancies for teenagers. After all, everything that's happened is your fault." I cried all night, clutching my favorite SpongeBob plushie in my arms. And in the morning, looking into our empty refrigerator, I decided I would do just as she said and find a part-time job. That's how my new life began. Before school, I delivered newspapers. And in the evening, I walked the neighborhood dogs for a small fee. Every day, I walked over 20 kilometers on foot. But I couldn't even rest at night. My mother began to bring over her new friends. They partied until morning and never let us sleep. I gave up my entire salary to my mother. But she was clearly in no hurry to find a job. So we were constantly running short of money. 2 months flew by that way. During that time, Mom recovered from her depression. She got a job as a maid in an expensive hotel, learned to smile again, and stopped being mad at me. One morning, Mom came down to breakfast particularly happy and invited Simon and I for a walk. We were so happy, but as it turns out, we shouldn't have been. Mom took us to some strange house and asked for us to wait for her for a minute. Through the window, I saw her run out into the street, get into a posh car with some man, and drive away. At that moment, I realized that Mom wouldn't be coming back. The woman who came up to us next confirmed that.
"Angela, Simon, welcome to the orphanage."
It was terrible there. I missed sewing and my cozy room. When I told Simon about it, he took my things out of his backpack. Some makeup, a private diary, and my SpongeBob. "Why did you take all this with you?" "I heard Mom talking on the phone before we left, and I understood what was happening. That's why I packed your things, so you knew? And you didn't tell me? I would have come up with something. I would have convinced Mom, or got another job, or found Dad somehow. It's your fault we ended up here." I took out all my anger on Simon. I even scolded him for being idle. After all, while I'd been torn between school and jobs, my brother had been eating sweets and playing video games. Simon was upset, but he didn't say anything. We didn't really talk much after that. But I didn't stay in the orphanage for long. 2 weeks later, a married couple came in. When Mr. and Mrs. Bell saw me, they were absolutely delighted. Soon enough, they took me to their place. My new life turned out to be incredibly cool. My new parents doted on me. They bought me a bunch of expensive clothes and fulfilled all my wishes. Finally, I could design and sew. They got me so many fabrics, I could have opened a sewing shop. Long story short, my new parents tried very hard to make me happy, and I loved the attention. My brother and I had switched places. Now I was a loved child, and I didn't even know how he was doing. However, I soon got tired of gloating. My parents' care started to get to me. Even the mountain of gifts no longer made me happy. Mr. and Mrs. Bell tried to control my every step and annoyed me with their questions. I began to miss the time in the orphanage when no one cared about me. I took apart the box I had brought with me a month ago. SpongeBob immediately reminded me of Simon. Just imagine, my brother had taken my toy instead of throwing his things into the backpack, just so I would be happy. Why didn't I appreciate that earlier? I felt so ashamed of myself. I convinced my parents to visit Simon at the orphanage, and I brought him a big box of nice little things. Sweets, toys, and clothes. Simon was much happier to see me than the gifts. He wasn't even angry about what I had said to him not long before leaving. We hugged after the long separation, and we chatted for hours. I promised that I would definitely come back, but the next visit was not as joyful. My brother had a black eye, and he was wearing a cardboard crown on his head. From my time there, I knew that it was usually worn by kids who were being bullied. It's because of your gifts. The other kids didn't like that I had good things. They called me a beggar prince and took everything away. I was so scared for my brother. Who knew what else those little hooligans were capable of? At home, I plucked up the courage and I asked my parents to take Simon away from the orphanage, but they refused. We didn't count on a second child, Angie. I'm sorry, but the boy will have to stay there. Since then, my life turned into torture. I felt so guilty for living well while my younger brother was suffering. I did everything I could to try and convince my parents, but nothing worked. In the end, I felt devastated. Only sewing could help me. I locked myself in my room and spent all day working on my designs and sewing. One evening, I was interrupted by a knock on my window. I pulled the curtains apart and I saw some guy. I opened the window to try and talk to him, but he had the nerve to climb into my room without getting invited and tried to hug me.
Anna, I am so happy to see you. It's been so many years. Where have you been all this time?
I think you have me confused with someone else. I'm Angela, and I haven't lived here very long. The guy looked at me incredulously and got out into the street again. Soon, he came back with a picture and handed it to me. I saw 2 children in it. The boy, who looked very similar to my new acquaintance, and the girl was just like me, but not only in looks. Judging by her outfit, she was also fond of designing clothes. She was posing in a dress made of leaves, cones, and grasses. We do look alike. But dude, that's still not me.
Well then, let's get to know each other. I'm Archie. I came here to visit my grandmother for the summer. Let's hang out in the yard this evening.
I agreed, and I asked Archie for the picture so I could show it to my parents. When they saw the girl, they grew sad. Mom looked down and said,
Anna was our daughter, but she's gone now. That's why we decided to adopt you. You look just like her.
I was touched by their story, and I hugged my parents. In the evening, as promised, I met Archie in the garden. The guy asked me to make him a cool costume from improvised materials like his friend had when they were kids. So I started picking flowers for the costume, and I got so carried away that I didn't even notice an old lady come up to us. She looked at me for a long time, and then she suddenly hugged me. Anna, sweetie, I missed you so much. Not again. I had to tell her everything I had just learned from my parents. What kind of stupid joke is this? My granddaughter is alive. She was just sent to an orphanage. I didn't have time to recover from that when Mom appeared on the porch and shouted,
Angela, go home now. Don't you dare talk to that woman.
At home, Mom said that was a local mad woman who called everyone her grandchildren and that I should stay away from her. But I didn't think so. There were way too many strange coincidences. Mr. and Mrs. Bell were hiding something from me. When they left for work the next day, I decided I would find out what it was. I searched the whole house for clues. In a couple of hours, I was able to find a box. There were documents and a USB flash drive inside. The first thing I did was put it into my laptop, and I found a video. Anna was playing with a plush SpongeBob. It looked just like mine. Goosebumps ran down my back. In the box, I also found something else, the results of a DNA test. It confirmed my suspicions that I was Mr. and Mrs. Bell's daughter. I was the Anna who had been sent to an orphanage many, many years ago. They had just changed my name for some reason. Tears ran down my face. I had been abandoned twice already. First by my real parents, and then by my foster ones. Now, I realized why they had treated me worse than Simon. After all, he was their son by blood. I was just someone else's baby. I hated them all, and I decided I would run away to be with my brother. Maybe he wasn't my brother by blood, but he was the only one who really loved me. Living in an orphanage seemed like a better idea than staying under the same roof with a bunch of traitors. I packed my things and I left the house in tears. That old lady from before followed me. She begged me to listen to her. "Don't you want to know what was in your foster father's note?" I froze. How did she know about the note? To be honest, what happened with my foster parents was still a mystery to me. I decided that this was my only chance to find out the truth. So I agreed, and I listened to the interesting story that old lady Ms. Weisberg had to tell me. "Your parents are Luke and Veronica. They had you when they were students. They were always short on money then. Both wanted to be free and build a career, not babysit a child. Then, your parents were suddenly offered a very prestigious job and decided to send you to an orphanage. When I found out about it, I had a heart attack. They kept me in hospital for a whole month. As soon as I was discharged, I started applying for your guardianship, but it was too late. You had been adopted by a young couple that had no kids of their own. I managed to find their address, though. I would come to your house and watch you grow up. You looked happy, but when the second child appeared in the family, everything changed. You often cried on the swings in the front yard, and no one ever came to calm you down. I realized you weren't happy in that house, and I decided I would try to get your foster parents to give you to me so I could raise you. They quickly agreed. Your dad put on an act with that note like we'd agreed and left the family. But then, things did not go according to plan. Your foster mother handed you and her own son over to the orphanage. It's a good thing that your real parents came to their senses. I'm glad that you found a family, and I want to be a part of it, but I haven't talked to Luke or Veronica in years. I think I've had enough. I'm tired of other people's fights. All everyone did was move me from family to family. I don't want to go back to any of them. I took the bus to the orphanage. I lied and I said that my parents had beat me, hurt, and generally hated me so that they wouldn't send me back. The teacher was shocked and immediately let me in. When I found Simon, I told him everything that I had learned from my grandmother. He wasn't very upset, though. During this time, I've already grown used to being abandoned. You're my real family. We hugged and promised each other we wouldn't be separated anymore. If a family wanted to take us, we would only go together. And we didn't have to wait long. That same evening, my parents came. At first, I refused to go out to them, but they looked so miserable, I just had to agree. You don't have to say anything. Grandma already told me the truth. I told you not to talk to her.
Angie, baby, stop causing a scene. Let's go home. And apologize to the teacher for lying.
I agreed I would go back, but only on one condition. If my parents adopted Simon and made up with my grandmother. I was tired of fighting all my life.
Hi, I'm Isabel from Philadelphia. Please like and subscribe. My mom had an accident when I was only 3, and Dad shifted his multi-million-dollar company to our mansion just so he could give me all his attention. But I soon realized he was too much. He fired my favorite nanny just because I fell off my bed. He wouldn't even let me go to the park without wearing a helmet and protective gear. I looked like a freaking astronaut. One night when I was 5, I left a note for Dad and ran away from home. I knew exactly where I wanted to go first, the park. Finally, some peace. But it wasn't long before I heard police cars screeching outside, and Dad came running to me.
"Oh, you fool. I'm never letting you out of my sight again."
I looked at the officers and started kicking and screaming.
Please, help me. I've never seen this creepy man before. Help!
Well, Dad had a lot of paperwork to show before he could take me home. Growing up, he and I were constantly at war, but I always found a way to do what I wanted. And in high school, I even joined the cheerleading squad, without telling him, of course. Once in 10th grade, the football captain Jake invited me to his party, and I knew there was no way Dad was letting me go so late. So once he was asleep, I sneaked out of my window. By the time I got back, it was almost 3 a.m. I was walking through my garden when I suddenly tripped over something that looked like a human body. I almost screamed, but just then, I saw who it was. My weird neighbor. Oh my God, what are you doing here?
I was just lying back and watching the stars, till you ruined it. Why can't you just watch the friggin' stars from your garden? I like the grass here better. It's nicer and softer, and the quality is...
Jeez, just shut up and go.
As I started walking, he followed me. You know we go to the same school, right? You don't even know my name, do you?
Of course I do. It's, something with an R or P. Wait. It's Dave. David, okay? You got me. I don't know your name.
It's Scott. You'll remember now because I'm your new boyfriend.
Did I hit your head when I tripped?
No, you just gave me an idea. You're Miss Popular, and I'm just a nerd. Dating a cheerleader is going to be great for my image, and if you say no, I'm going to tell your dad you were out.
Are you seriously blackmailing me?
Yes, I am. Don't worry, it's not forever. We'll date for a month and then break up publicly. So, do we have a deal?
Dating this weirdo would be social suicide for me, but if Dad found out, I'd be grounded for eternity. So, I shook hands on it. I was so not looking forward to school on Monday. I walked down the hall with my face behind a book, hoping to avoid Scott. I didn't find him anywhere, and I felt so relieved. Maybe he was kidding about the whole thing anyway. Later at lunch, Jake joined me, and I was having a great time when suddenly Scott slid right next to me.
Here I am, my lady. Now, what are your other 2 wishes?
Oh my God.
Dude, we're in the middle of something here. Can you go and be weird somewhere else? I'd like to know what you're in the middle of with my girlfriend. Girlfriend? Your girlfriend? Isabel, your friend seems rather stupid. Can you please tell him clearly?
I kicked him hard under the table. Yes, it's true. Scott is my boyfriend.
No way. This is just some stupid joke, isn't it? It is not. I love Isabel, and she loves me very much, and will prove it.
To my horror, Scott jumped onto the table and held out a hand for me. I climbed up very reluctantly, and he whispered,
"You better make this convincing."
I was going to kill him. I kissed him as everyone in the cafeteria watched us and gasped. Jake stormed off furiously, and I dragged Scott outside. What was that? This is not part of the deal.
Well, we have to make it believable. What's the problem anyway? You seemed to be really into that kiss.
I was not. I'd rather kiss a monkey's butt. Now, you listen to me. Just then, a thin goth girl named Irene walked up to us. Scott, are you really going out with this girl?
Yes, I am, Twiggy. Meet your future sister-in-law.
Wait, you guys are siblings? How come she doesn't have a British accent? Because we're both Americans. And my brother's such a loser. Why do you speak like that?
So I can sound more sophisticated. Not all of us just get by in life with a pretty face.
So you settled for a stupid accent? Good job. Also, I wouldn't date a cheerleader if I were you, Scott. She's one of them, and they're all jerks. Before I could defend myself, she walked off.
Don't mind her. She's weird. My friends are coming over for a chess tournament tonight, and I can't wait for them to meet my girlfriend.
I can't. I have things to do.
Like spending the rest of high school in your room? Because that's what will happen when I tell your dad. I'll see you, m'lady.
And with that, he left. Ugh! So, he wanted a girlfriend, huh? Well, he was about to get one. The girlfriend from hell. When I went over to his place that evening, it looked like I'd walked onto some geek planet, and they were all staring at me like I was an alien.
Whoa, we thought Scott was lying.
About us being together? Oh no, meeting this cookie monster is the best thing that's ever happened to me. When they set up the chessboard, I jumped into Scott's lap and started picking up the chess pieces. Babe, what's this horsey thing? And what's this one for? I'm really dumb, you know. I don't understand anything.
Can you please leave those alone? I'll explain to you later.
Why are you talking like that to me, Snookums? You think I'm dumb, don't you?
I never said that. Just watch a game and you'll understand everything, okay?
I smiled sweetly, but I wasn't backing down.
I kept distracting Scott by playing with his hair, feeding him snacks, and accidentally dropping a drink in his lap. And then, right when they were in the middle of an intense match, I started doing a cheerleading routine. Give me an S, give me a C, and then an OTT. Go, Scotty! I did a cartwheel next and crashed straight into their table, knocking their chessboard to the floor. They all looked so mad, and Scott took me out of the room. What are you doing? I know you just think we're a bunch of nerds, but this is important to us. I'm just giving you the girlfriend experience. If you don't like it, break up with me. Not a chance. You're my girlfriend for the month. Deal with it. Of course, everyone in school knew by now that Scott and I were dating, and he was everywhere, in the library, during lunch, at my cheerleading practice. A few days later, he even signed up for a hiking trip I was going to. As we were walking, a cheerleader asked us how we'd gotten together. Oh, it's a really boring story. Oh, she's just shy. It was quite romantic, actually. What? She was walking past my house when she slipped and sprained her ankle. I took my t-shirt off and wrapped it around her foot, and then I carried her home. She asked me out because of my rock-hard abs. Her words, not mine. Oh, I could bash his skull with a rock. And suddenly, I had a brilliant idea. I stopped back to tie my laces and quickly filled up my backpack with rocks. Then I let out a loud cry. Scott, I sprained my ankle again. I don't think I can walk. Oh, I got you, my lady. Hop onto my back. And when I did, he let out a loud groan. What is it, Scotty? Nothing. Totally, fine. I almost died trying not to laugh. The poor boy was grunting and sweating as he carried me down the hill. And then finally, he collapsed to the ground. Gosh, Isabel, you weigh as much as a baby elephant. Did you just call me fat? I burst into fake tears as everyone glared at him. No, that's not what I meant, babe. Don't touch me, you jerk. Just then, Jake shoved him aside. You heard her. Come on, Isabel. Let a real man carry you. Oh, I think my ankle is feeling better. I can walk, but I'll need some support. I leaned on Jake's arm and started limping away. Served Scott right for that stupid story. Later, I felt bad for what I'd put him through, so I invited him to come with me to my friend's party. I was having a great time dancing there, but Scott was just hanging out in a corner, and I caught him looking at me more than once. Hey, come dance with me. Oh, I'd rather not. I don't have your moves. You looked pretty great out there. Why was my face getting hot? Well, I'd like to see your moves. Okay then, don't say I didn't warn you. He walked onto the dance floor and started doing the weirdest chicken dance. Everyone stopped to stare and snicker at him, but he didn't seem to give a hoot. I burst out laughing. He looked ridiculous, and it looked like so much fun. I jumped in and started imitating his moves, and before I knew it, a whole bunch of kids had joined us, and we were all doing Scott's chicken dance. We all clapped for him at the end of it. As we were walking away, Scott accidentally bumped into Jake and knocked over his plate of food on his shirt. Suddenly, Jake grabbed him by the collar. You're really getting on my nerves, man. What are you even doing here? Dating some cheerleader won't make you cool. You will always be a loser. Why are you so worked up, dude? Is it that time of the month again? Jake punched Scott in the face. I leapt forward and pushed him away, straight into a fountain. Don't you dare touch my boyfriend! As Jake screamed furiously, I took Scott's hand and led him out of there. We went to his house and I held up an ice pack to his face. Here, this should help. Yeah, it usually does. What do you mean? It's not the first time I've been bullied, Isabel. I'm a nerd, remember? I've had plenty of broken glasses, punches, and insults. Scott, I'm sorry to hear that. No one deserves such treatment, especially you. It's okay. You didn't bully me. You just never noticed me. Are you trying to make me feel worse? Is it working? Yeah, a little bit. His eyes were so lovely up close, and my heart was racing. But just then, Irene walked in, and I jumped back. I should go home. It's late. See you around, Scott. And with that, I ran off. Jeez,
Was I falling for my fake boyfriend? The next day in school, Irene was participating in an art contest, but just an hour before, Scott and I found her crying in the art room. Someone had ripped her painting to shreds with a note stuck to it. No place for losers.
It's Jake. He did this to get back at me. I'm going to kill him.
But what am I gonna do right now, Scotty? I have nothing.
Listen, I'm going to run back home and get one of your other art pieces. You have so much amazing stuff. It'll be fine, I promise.
He was out of there like a bullet and was back just before the contest started. The judges loved Irene's artwork, and she actually came in second place. As we were all walking out of the hall, we spotted Jake and his buddies, and Scott jumped forward to attack him, but I held him back.
That's right, Isabel. Keep that loser in check before I kick his butt again.
Sure, I'll do that. And you should go clear your locker, Jake, because you're about to be kicked out. See, you were too stupid to notice the camera in the art room. I asked the principal to look at the footage, and she'll be calling you any minute now. Jake looked at me in shock, and before we knew it, the principal was dragging him off to her office, and he was expelled. A few days later, Scott and I went to the carnival with some friends, and when we were on the Ferris wheel, it